Okay, welcome back, and thanks to our guest, Dr. John Ngamsa, who is joining us remotely via Zoom. He's the special advisor to the governor of Adamawa State on communication and strategy. He's also a public affairs commentator and a university lecturer. Professor Edmund was saying there that it's just about shameful to most Nigerians that ragtag formations such as Boko Haram are giving us the runaround. Now, the last thing one ever wants to do is to give credit to the enemy, but really one begins to wonder, considering that the Nigerian military has its own, reputation. It does have its own reputation. For it to be given the runaround like this, you begin to wonder. Once again, I say one doesn't want to be crediting the enemy. You begin to wonder how much of a ragtag formation they really are.
Well, Yuri, if I may just respond, I'll tell you that fighting insurgency and criminality in whatever form all over the world is as difficult as we all know, because anywhere, you subject the hit and run technique, guerrilla method, it's going to take some time at least to survive that. I know that even United States of America, in the international, whatever it is, have been to places where they have to run and leave. You remember the case of Che Guevara, you remember the case of Latin America, you remember the case of so many places that America have meddled themselves into. With their firepower, they've not been able to suppress and to do that which is effective. But then here we are. That is not to give excuse for the fact that things cannot be worked. What I'm trying to say is that our forces have received the best training. Let me just say world over. Whatever technology they're deficient in, perhaps is where we have to sit up and ensure that we get them all the support that they require to do it. But there's much to be done. And that which is to be done is at the local level. Security administration is basic. You are made a local government chairman. In Yobe, for instance, 2 basic local governments is like they're under total control, of, some of these riff-raff characters that come in and unleash mayhem on the people. What are they doing, for God's sake? What are they reporting? How serious are they about it? How are they connecting, with the governor of that particular state? How are they giving meaningful and timely information for good response? I think that's where our attention got to be based on. Now, I understand everybody's frustration. I've been frustrated, but I've limited myself to a particular small space. If for social responsibility reasons, I can commit myself to say 1, 2, 3 things about my immediate community, I can comfortably tell you that I've given my advice, I've given my timely response, I've given my information, at the time that is required, and perhaps that is what is maybe giving me the credibility and the sense to be had by people like you on these issues. Then what are we supposed to do? Is to ensure that we connect between what we think is high up there and what is low down here. In the classroom, I know basically, what I try to do in education when you have to talk about the hots and the lots, higher order thinking skills, and then the lower order thinking skills. Higher order for those that do the strategy, and lower order for those that are down, that are supposed to raise the concern, at least to make up what is sincerely required of them. That we know in the classroom, that you can categorize your own classroom and effectively communicate by giving illustrations that match that which is right. Are the security operatives or the establishment in Nigeria sincerely connecting with those at the grassroots and giving them the information that is sincerely required? That's a big question. And I can comfortably tell you unnoticed that if they get to harness what is a grassroots issue, they can make it up. I was talking with a very respected traditional ruler, the Lamido of Adamawa. Once he told us that, farmer harder crisis is not something that should come to state level. It's something that can be addressed, at the village or the ward level by the local authorities. And that, in effect, is not been done, and that is why we have continuous crises that are appearing to be big and bogus, that we are talking about as if we cannot solve them. So there's something, Uncle Yuri, that should be done, that we need to connect between our local resources, and the sophisticated resources good enough to do that which is right. I tell you, there's disconnection, and that is the reason why we're having this kind of embarrassment.
Yes.
And we'll continue to have it if we don't take our time to take issues serious. Because whether we like it or not, we must learn to map, from micro to macro, macro to micro. This connectivity will have to be. That synergy they keep talking about as an academic issue, spending money on, at least should be done with much more reality. If they fail somewhere, please let them contact some of us. We are free. We are ordinary citizens, and we have ordinary solutions to give them. While they go to London and they go to Langley, Virginia to receive all the kind of courses, please come back to Urobochi and come back to Mafa or come back to Goza and ask the locals there what is sincerely required.
All right.
Give them what it takes, and you will see that you have a good response to it.
Okay. Mr. Aminu in Yola, thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Very good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I am calling from the state where Mr. Gamza belongs. And I don't know in what yardstick he is talking about. Some people who generate insecurity can sit down on television stations and be talking about security. Go to Gamza's profile and see the write-ups he has.
How do you mean, sir? Sorry, how do you mean, sir?
What I mean, go check Gamza on Facebook and see what he was writing from 2015 till today. Go and check. So Gamza has no local standing. Gamza has no local standing to be talking about people that generate insecurity. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. He should check himself very well before he starts talking grammars. He should go and check himself and be a liberal person.
Well, having heard that criticism, I beg your pardon, Mr. Aminu.
Check his profile and see who he is.
Having heard that criticism,
thank you very much.
Would you like to weigh in on the subject matter, apart from the criticism of our guest? Okay, it does look as if Aminu had a sole objective, and, well, yes, he has voiced his own criticism, but I did want to get his take on the matter. Unfortunately, we were denied that. Aminu, in case you reconsider, you could call back in because you've already, registered your criticism of, the reasons of our guest. But I did want to say, okay, you appear to know something about it. Let's talk about that, in addition to your criticism. I don't know if, Dr. Gamsa, I don't know if you...
I'm ready for it. No, I'm ready for it.
Because you've been writing for... Well, the one thing that he did, sort of put out there is that you've long been writing on these matters, and you've long been addressing the public on these matters of security. But I really had wished that he would have expatiated a bit on the whole matter about those that are responsible or creating these things.
Thank you, Yori. I will not be eager to respond to that kind of a charlatan on television or to call him that name, but I'm sure he's coming from a particular sentimental club. And if I might suspect, he's one of those people actually causing it and thinking that some of us are really doing that. But if you check my profile very well, I have engaged quite a number of people in working out things. Yes, maybe the incident he's trying to talk about is when certain things happen in my area, at my own locality. I've not written anything hateful against anybody. I've rather proffered solutions. And that I'm talking about this issue, I'm talking on it on good authority. And if Aminu is his name, as a matter of fact, he's one of those people causing some of those damages that are expected. My concern presently is to give you a module of how we've been able to do in our own local space, particularly in Numan Lamridem, so that's the space he was talking about. Yes, certain things happened there. People spoke for people. And he himself was one of those people, if I might recover, that have been part of those people that have added gasoline on fire, at least to bring about crisis. I'm not afraid of him. But what I'm doing presently, my concern is what solutions do we have presently, at least to attend to the issues that are disturbing us? Indeed. In my locality, there is relative peace. People are doing what is expected, and we've done it. We've engaged NGOs, we've engaged responsible people, and I can tell you that I am on a commendable committee of the state government on peace, on farmer harder crisis, that have achieved a law and that is serving a very good model for other states to copy. And I'm working on it 24 hours. That is the reason why you can see that I talk on some of these things on authority. So tell Aminu that if he has any fears at all, he should meet me. I will soon be opening a particular seminar on some of these things on what to do with local community security. I'm not afraid of it. I engage right people and I'll be willing to accept him. But that's not being too personal about it. Yes. Now let's look at what we are supposed to do. Like if you listen to me and follow the trend of what I was trying to say from the beginning, is to insist on the fact that there are workable things to be done.
Indeed.
And if
I'll come back to that.
We have to put them right. Thank you.
I'll come back to that in a moment. Yes. I think Mr. Mohammed has called in from Jigawa. Did I get that correctly? Is it Mohammed in Jigawa?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Mohammed. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. This is a very good program.
Thank you.
But, during the time of Abacha, Nigeria had this security satellite. Major Ali Mustafa mentioned this.
Carry on, please.
Security satellite. Why are these military not using that security satellite?
Okay.
Why are they not using it? Major Ali Mustafa mentioned this security satellite more than five times. Why are these so-called military chiefs not using it? You will see bandits just last week were traveling to from Gashua to Yobe. See them in group 150. Three people in the bike with arms. Are you telling me security don't see that going on?
All right. Okay. Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Mohammed. Let me take that up with let me take that up with Dr. Gamsa. Two things.
Yes.
Aminu, who called in earlier, part of his criticism had been about big grammar and that kind of a thing. So I was wondering, is it possible that we might, because that seemed to be the import of his criticism, have we gotten too arcane, too academic? And now Mohammed calls in and says that, how about even the tech, and here we're going back to, if you want, fine grammar, because these are technological things again. He's saying that, look, what happened to our satellites, our security satellites? So if you look at that, like two extremes of the same issue.
Well, Uncle Yori, you know that when people listen on media, they expect to learn. And you know that it's not what we discuss out here that forms part of the reality of what's on ground. Now, first of all, I will assure you that technology is advanced, good enough that I have sitting friends in other places that can willingly give me, Google access to virtually every space, that I need wherever anything takes place. For instance, if there's an attack, within that moment, there is a global camera, that fixes on that. And if people like Aminu are not aware that the world is far beyond where he is, you'll get to understand that people are developing technologies to make up that which is right. I'm glad that the man that just contributed last spoke about what Major Al-Mustafa have been mentioned, coming from his own background and given the sophistication of his training, the best of course that he received during the Abacha period, tells you that in the world of military work, generally, if you don't meet up with the technology, you are not going to make it up, and that you'll be left behind. So it's either you move on with the moving forces or you are killed, with forces that cannot move ahead. I think that is where our forces are in trying to solve this problem of insurgency. The technologies are open, the satellite is wide enough, and I can tell you that even those that go into television technology can comfortably give you some spatial information that is potent enough at least for you to have good security administration. Then one seeks to ask why. They resort to just doing some analog way of trying to source out information that will be of help to them. Well, that one is left to them. I will not try to impede the good intention of the Nigerian security forces or where they're trying to go, even if I know It's not something that I should disclose out here. But then there is a need fundamentally to insist, as we talk here, yes, from grammar to practicality, so that we can get things done. I tell you that, Uncle Yori, as we're discussing, every satellite is on, and everybody who is concerned about the security of Nigeria is being watched by people that are trying to undermine it. So we're aware of those saboteurs, and we're going to pick them on where necessary, by being just the good that will insist on giving the advice that is sincerely required, at least for things to move on.
Yeah.
Maybe that character called Aminu, I'm not disturbed about him, doesn't know how much I've done in working to bring out peace, in collaboration with the state government and many NGOs, which have been my friends, that I facilitated their coming in to work for peace. So I think there's much to be done. We have to continue to talk good enough for this establishment to hear what we are saying and to ask us what we can do, at least to bring peace to our people. We all know that anybody will have to live in peace in Nigeria and ensure that things work out fine.
Okay. Now, on that particular point, are we really hearing ourselves as we are speaking, deliberating on these security challenges, by which I mean, it's one thing when you're in a war college setting, lecturers, technical, researchers, professionals, that's one setting. But you also had alluded to now translating all of this to boots on the ground, so to speak. Are you satisfied that we are making enough strides in that direction? That's translating the benefits of all the research and technology into it actually meaning something that can stop or at least deter the terrorists.
Let me say yes, and let me say no. When you listen to good intentions of those that are given the commands to hold for us, I assure you that they are disturbed and more worried about what is happening. I have friends in the security services. The larger part of those that I was to participate, in one of the security services for, they are now retired, but I didn't. I went into academics, and I'm happy about it. But we keep discussing in and out of service, and they'll tell you most sincerely what their sincere regrets are and what they're actually expecting to do. They are willing and they're there, they're in good number, good enough. Bring them into some kind of community of security services personnel that are on retirement and ask them for solution and see if you are not going to get something. You'll definitely get. Fortunately, I've been able to work and I've written 2 military biographies, and I interviewed on the history of the Nigerian Civil War. I interviewed General G.S. Diallo. I interviewed General Abdullah Shalam, and I know what they told me about the need at least to put some of these things. All of them are dead, they are gone. I'm trying to put their biographies together to tell you that yes, there's much that can be done, in theory, in academics, in studies, good enough. But by the time you do that, what you're supposed to do is to insist that you engage in giving security services productivity report. And that productivity report is out of your own, social responsibility that you are committed to the good of the nation. And I had to talk about charlatans that try to make reference to security issues and attack personalities. But the characters have not known how much quite a number of us and people beyond me have done, in trying to make security services sit up. We are here, we engage narratives. We try to encourage them. We tell them what is required. That is what we publish, and that is what we give them under the table. Indeed. And they collect. Indeed. So in the world of intelligence and security services, there is no acknowledgement. So what I'm trying to say is let's all be participant citizens in the process of trying to do our best, good enough to help the security services to sit up. One area that we've identified and we need to actually harp on is the simple fact that we need citizens' engagement, good enough for them to be grassroots oriented so that they can generate the kind of information that is required for us to have solutions of things that are disturbing us.
All right,
like
Dr. Gamsa, we're gonna have to leave it here. But I want to thank you very much. I want to thank you very much for making the time for us this morning. As indeed, I do also thank those viewers who have called in to.
Please tell Aminu to look for me and ask me what exactly it is so that I can help him out of his ignorance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gamsa. Thank you very much, Dr. John Gamsa, Special Advisor to the Governor of Adamawa on Communication and Strategy as well as being a university lecturer and a public affairs commentator. Well, that's our program today. Do please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. I am Iyori Fola.